Shall we begin? Let's begin.
Let's get this thing in the water. Hello, and welcome to On the Patio with Mr. D. Hey, we've got a whole slew of product reviews and kayaking tips and tricks and photography uses on a kayak, and especially on an inflatable kayak. We're going to be reviewing all these different products and these different kayaks and where to go and what to do and how to play with them and all that kind of stuff like that. So, hey, we're going to get started here shortly, but before you do, please, if you like our videos, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So, hey, we'll be back in just a bit.
Let's begin.
Hello, and welcome to On the Patio with Mr. D. Today we're going to talk about two different items. One is the YI 4K action camera, which is supposedly the GoPro killer, and its supporting companion, the wearable YI Gimbal. So first off, we're going to talk about the wearable gimbal, and it really looks similar. And this is it right here. It looks really similar to the Fujio WG and the Zhiyun Rider M gimbal. And it also looks very similar to the Hohem wearable gimbal, which is right here. And the reason I brought this out is to give you some additional information as we get through the quick review on the gimbal itself. Now the gimbal, this particular gimbal is really only made for the YI camera. You really can't put any other cameras on it. It will not work. Whereas on the Hohem, it'll handle the YI, the GoPro Hero 5 Black, and if you have the cage, you can put your session on here. So it's more versatile. One of the drawbacks for this particular gimbal is that it does not have, you can see the charging port right here, but it's not a charging port. You have to charge the batteries by taking them out. Now, one of the ridiculous things I've seen on this particular gimbal is that this set screw that puts the lid on, as you can see, falls away. It's very small. It can easily be lost. But anyway, you have to take these two batteries out and put it in the charger. It's supplied with the kit. And then have to charge it that way. You cannot do an in-unit charge on this thing. You have to pull them out. So the micro port, USB port on the side of this unit is strictly for calibration and stuff like that. Another thing this does not have is an application. Whereas the Hohem gimbal has an excellent iPhone or iOS or Android application, which is really, really great. The next thing about the particular gimbal itself, it comes with one set of batteries, a little USB, micro USB cable, and basically that's it. Now, its functionality is pretty much similar to a lot of the other ones. Now this has an LED flash mode on it. I won't turn it on right now because you don't ever want to load a gimbal without a camera on it. But you hit this button right here and hold it down and you'll see the gimbal go into operation. And I must say it went into operation right away. No calibration was required, nothing. Anyway, a single flash is the default mode, and that's the panning mode. Now the pan axis basically follows the gimbal's movement while the camera remains locked in a tilt and roll to remain upright. And 3 flashes will get you into a lock mode when you see it, this button down here flashing 3 times. And that means all axes are blocked and the gimbal faces only in one direction. The double flash is panning and tilt mode. What that is the roll axis is locked and the pan axis rotate to follow the gimbal's movement. And then if it's flashing real quick down here, that means you have a low battery. The mode switch is real simple. Single press puts you into the default mode, which is the panning or lock mode. The double button will switch the gimbal to panning and tilt mode. And then if you a long hold, will put the gimbal into a setup mode. Now again, when you first turn this on, it defaults to the panning mode. In panning or lock mode, a single press of the button is how you switch that on. So if you want to lock this, you have it in the single, the default mode, but you want to lock it, you just hit the button once and it'll lock into place. So my final on this one here, this is not the greatest gimbal in the world, but it's $99 versus $160. But you're getting I think a better, way better gimbal with the Hohem than you are with the YI, and the Hohem will handle the YI camera. And the Hohem itself basically has the application where you can work with it. And overall, I like the Hohem better than I do the YI gimbal. However, it does function properly. I think if YI was to set up an application for it, the popularity for this particular item would go up. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the YI 4K camera. Now, I've had this camera for a while now, and again, it works really, really well. This YI 4K, with the firmware upgrade, will give you the voice activation like the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Now, this is how it comes. No accessories, one micro USB cable, and that's it, and the battery. And that's it. So if this is your first action camera and you have no GoPro accessories or anything like that, this may not be the way to go. However, if you have some of these, or you would just go down and purchase that accessory kit for like 25 bucks, you get all kinds of different things. This would work fine. The first thing you'll notice about the YI is that this particular camera is not waterproof. You have to have the waterproof case, which is an additional expense. Whereas the GoPro Hero 5 Black and the GoPro Hero Session, these are all waterproof without the waterproof case, but only to a certain depth. Now, there's a lot of good features with this particular camera. This is a one-button camera, voice activated, like I said a minute ago. To turn this thing on, you just hit the button, and there you go. Now, to get through the menu options, it's basically the same thing. This is a touchscreen system. What I'm doing right here is the ability to get what's on the camera. That's why I moved it that way. Move it down, you can turn on your Wi-Fi, your voice activation, and other options that are here. If you want to go into the different modes, you just swipe the screen. This is all touch screen, it's really cool. You kick over to video. Right now I've got it set at 4K at 30, but you can change all those settings. And you can do that by hitting the resolution button right up here, and then you can see the different options available for you. So this is really, really a nice camera. Now the 4K Plus by YI will now shoot 4K at 60 frames a second. This one only does 30 frames a second. And, but it has all kinds of different settings. You have your Wi-Fi, your SD card information, stuff like that, and then you can bail out of it. To activate this particular action cam, what's so cool about it, once you learn the different languages, because it's different from GoPro, you would say YI, begin recording, and there we go. YI, stop recording, then YI, shut off. So as you can see, the commands, once you upload the new firmware, really work well. What we're going to do now is mount the camera on the gimbal. You can see how pretty simple that is. Just cinch these down. Now you always want to turn your camera on first. Okay, and it is now on. Now to activate the gimbal itself, just hit this button. I'm going to turn this down so you can see it come up. And there you go. So you can see the single flash. I can hit it here. Now as you can see, I got the triple flash going on here. That means it's in the lock mode. It's just going to stay. As you can see here, I'm spinning this thing around and it's not moving anywhere. All right, then I can back to default, and that's where it's the throttle pan. You can see here. Double click. Now I'm in, this is in the tilt pan. Now I went back to default. Now one thing cool about this here, if you want to lock it down, just pull it here, hold it, and there you go. I double clicked it, locked it, you saw it come back up. Now I'm going to go back to default, and that's where I'm in my standard mode, which is the default mode, and it really works well here. All right, now I always record in this particular mode right here when I'm on my kayak, because it gives a nice gradual turn, as you can see here in the pan mode. But if I want to lock it on a specific area, I just tap it again, and you can see the 3 flash right here. That locks it. So no matter what my kayak is doing, it's not moving. Shut it off, just hold the button down, and that's it. But all that stuff is really cool, but the most important thing is, what's the image quality like? Now, let me tell you something. I did a shootout on this between the GoPro Hero 5 Black and the YI 4K. I have to admit, on image quality alone, the YI 4K blew away the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Just blew it away. The image quality on this thing is fabulous. The audio, okay, it's not bad. The beginning of Lake Louisa, and that's a pretty big lake out here, and when I take my hard kayak, which is my 12-foot tarpon, now that's 72 pounds plus all the gear and camera gear and all that stuff, I'm getting upwards of about 90 pounds. So when it's in the water, yeah, it does take a lot more effort to paddle that craft, where when I have the 26-pound sport, I don't need that big a paddle to get the same result. Now the application here is pretty intuitive. It has all your setups and things like that. You can activate your record here, and you can get into all the different modes. And I have to be very careful what I say, because if I use some of the key phrases that's used by GoPro, this particular GoPro I'm shooting right now will activate it. So I got to kind of be careful. But anyway, it has all the intuitive applications you need out there. Works with your iOS and or Android. Works really good. Not an issue there. I really like the application. Now, as you can see right here, this thing is, the YI is recording on the gimbal, and it's in the pan mode. with the tilt up locked in so it can basically see me. Now I'll run through these again real quick. Now I'm into the lock mode. It's locked, and as you can see, as I spin this particular thing, it's not moving. Then back, that unlocks it, just one click of the button. Now it's really a good wearable gimbal, and it works really, really well. I've got no real complaint. YI, stop recording. It's very responsive. Then to shut the gimbal off, and that's it. YI, shut off. And again, all voice commands, which is really cool. Well, have you seen some of the footage there that I've shot on the kayak and all other kind of stuff? It really, really does a great job. Now, to some of you, you may say that the colors are too vivid. Well, you can take some of the saturation out if you want to. I like to have a nice, well-saturated vid. I always have. I think it brings out the beauty of where I'm at and what I'm shooting. So, quick recap here before we get out of here. This is the YI 4K mounted on a YI wearable gimbal. Drawbacks: you don't get any accessories with this thing. You get one micro USB cable, a battery, and the camera. But again, it's not that expensive. You're looking at $169 or it depends if it's on sale or whatever, but around $160. But this is a 4K action camera, where the GoPro Hero 5 Black is $299, or the 6 is $399. So, but it has its advantages. This is waterproof without a case. This is not waterproof without a case. They are both voice activated, both shoot 4K. So, you know, it just based on your wallet or what you want to do, you're looking at a pretty substantial difference in cost. Over $100 more for the GoPro Hero 5 Black, and I must say the YI 4K image quality is outstanding. I mean, it blew me away. It does burst shots, it does all the other things that the GoPro does. Now, if you're going to get this thing in water, you're going to have to get the waterproof case. Now, the only drawback with that is it won't work with a gimbal. So there are give and takes to this setup. I gamble every time I go out on my kayaks, because I mount the Hohem gimbal here with the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Now, the GoPro Hero 5 Black, if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. But if the Hohem gets wet, it's done. Now, if the YI gimbal gets wet and the YI camera gets wet, they're done. But that's the gamble you take when you go out there, guys. Now, as you all know, this is not waterproof. This is not waterproof. And the way I've got it rigged on my GorillaPod 5K with the GorillaPod update rig, it's not coming off the boat. The only way these would go in the water now is if I capsized. And then I've got bigger problems. So I'm real confident when I have it mounted up. I'll have one here and one here like this, be sitting out forward on the bow, and they shoot off to the side, and then I'll either have the DSLR in the center mount, or I'll have my camcorder in the center mount. Now the camcorder, what's so good about that is because of its zooming capability, there's a lot of times you can't get the zoom you want, or in fact you can't get any zoom with these action cameras. So having that camcorder in the center allows me to sit and zoom in on a particular item or wildlife or whatever I'm doing. So anyway, hey, The 4K, excellent image quality. You're going to give away a few items, but you're not giving away an additional $140 more to get the GoPro Hero 5 Black. But it's up to you. Hey, you guys make the decision. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.